It's day 30 of learning to read Chinese, and today our topic is 山水, mountains and water. 山水 is also the name of that genre in Chinese painting, landscape painting, because there are so many beautiful mountains and waterways in China that basically all the landscape paintings are of mountains and water. So first character, 玄. 玄 means to hang or suspend, refer to feeling anxious, baseless worry, same thing as feeling anxious. Reveal or publish is also 玄. Unresolved. So if you say like a cliffhanger in a story, you'd call 悬念. So here you got 悬空, hang in the air. 悬念. Yeah, that's what we use for cliffhangers in a story. Here, though, 悬崖. Ya is a precipice or a cliff or bank. So it's got a mountain on the top, shape of it. So 悬崖. 悬崖 is what we call a precipice or a cliff because you can hang off the edge of it. 峭. 峭 means high and steep, tall and straight, precipitous, severe or stern. And this on the right is phonetic and this on the left is a mountain for the meaning. 壁 is a wall, rampart, or cliff face. 峰 is a high and tapered peak, a summit, or anything that's mountain-like. This is also what we use to count camels, because camels have humps, which are kind of like mountains, in a way. Hold on. So this 峭壁 is also going to refer to cliffs. 峰峦. 峦 is a mountain range, or it could be a small pointed hill, but here we're talking about, when you say 峰峦, this is ridges and peaks of mountains. 叠. 叠 means to pile up or fold, especially fold over in layers. It's overlapping, repeating a stack of duplicated layers piled up. You see these three here? That's your little pile in a stack. 叠. 丈. 丈 is a shield-like peak, or it could be a range of peaks. If you say 叠丈, that's going to be rows of mountains. Like in a mountain range, when it's not just one strip of mountains, but you've got like multiple rows of mountains. 叠丈. 泉. 泉 is a spring or water from underground. 喷 means to puff, spout, spray, spurt, or gush. And it's worth noting that 喷泉, in the other order, 喷泉refers to a fountain or a geyser. Because that's like a spring out of which the water spurts. 蓝. 蓝, on top you got a mountain, on the bottom you got wind. So 蓝 means a mountain mist. 罩. 罩 means to cover, wrap, or shade. Also refers to a type of basket that's used to trap fish. But in this case, we're talking about the way the mist covers the mountains. 湍. 湍, torrential, turbulent, rushing waters. You'll notice pretty much all these words, all the ones to do with rocks and mountains almost have a little mountain somewhere in them. This one doesn't, but this one's got dirt. 急 means urgent, pressing, irritated, impatient, anxious, rapid, or hurried. So here when we say 湍急, we're talking about how the water rapidly rushes. 瀑 is usually used in the word 瀑布, which means waterfall. Here, 荡 this 荡 means to pass or loaf about, indulge, procrastinate, put off, delay, droop down, uninhibited. It's the way that the water in a waterfall falls in that uninhibited way. 峡 is a gorge. Go is a ditch, gutter, groove, gully, ravine, or canal. So this is as the water carves the rock. 峡沟 潭 is a deep pool, pond, or pit. 渊 also refers to a deep pool, or extended from this figurative meanings like profound, deep, like a pool of water. Also can refer to haunt, as in like a gathering place where certain people typically hang out. 渊 潭渊, we're talking about these are all the deep sunken places in the mountains and the landscapes. 溪 is a little creek, a brook, rivulet, or gully, small stream. 涧 refers to a mountain stream or also a gully or ravine. 流 this is the general word we use for any sort of liquid flowing, or also any sort of abstract thing that flows. Flow, drift, disseminate, diffuse, banish, exile. A stream of water, degenerate or degrade. This is also used for class, rate, or grade. So you'd say like, for instance, 主流 would be mainstream. If you say 一流, you're talking about like in the US, the way the schools sports teams have divisions depending on like how prestigious, I guess, how prestigious the school is. You'd say like 一流, 二流. Also like for celebrities like A-list and B-list or whatever, that sort of thing. Here we are literally just talking about water flowing though. 淌 is to drip, shed, trickle, or run. We're also talking about running water. So little creeks and streams in the mountains running and flowing. 池 is a pond, a pool, a reservoir, or moat. 渠 refers to a canal, a channel, a ditch, or anything deep and broad. 渠 This is a 句, I think, is the one that we use when we say 巨大, like something that's super ginormous. That's how you know it's a unlike these little ones. This refers to a large canal. deep and broad channel of water. Yin. Yin, this one's got dirt because this refers to a, how is this even pronounced? A weir. A low dam built across a river to raise the level of water upstream or regulate its flow. Ba. Ba. This is a general word for dams, embankments, dikes. Zhao. Zhao is another word for pond or pond water. I think probably the most common out of all these words for ponds and pools is going to be chi, this one. But there are a lot of them. Zhe, yet another word for a pool or a pond. Zhe also refers to the luster of metals or minerals. Could be a favor or benefit, or anything damp or moist, like a marsh. If you put these two together, 沼泽. 沼泽 refers to a marsh. 泥 is earth, mud, plaster, or putty. And tang is a dike, embankment. It could also be a pool, pond, or pit. And if you put these two together, 泥塘 is a bog. So these are 沼泽 and 泥塘 are both types of wetlands. So these are all your mountain streams, dams, reservoirs, wetlands. 灾 refers to a disaster or calamity, like here's fire in your house. It could be any sort of natural disaster, any sort of unnatural disaster. 灾 Law means to inundate, or the excessive rainwater, especially in the fields of your farm. If it's get flooded, law. Yi means to overflow, flood, anything excessive or surplus. This is even if you on a small scale, like a cup, you would say yi when it overflows. Xie means pour down or pour into, flood, torrent. This is also used for diarrhea and laxatives. But this is specifically referring to when water flows down really fast. Xun again refers to floods, high water. It can also mean sprinkle. That was its original meaning. So you would say flood time, like the flooding season, you'd call 汛期. 汛情 is what you'd call the flood itself, like the flood event. 汛潮 is a tide, current, surge, wave. It could also be damp, moist, or humid, like the weather, the air, or anything really. Like when you sweat through your clothes, you would call them also 潮. Suffused, another word. In this context, we are talking about the tides. Fu means to float on the water surface. And as an extension, it also means superficial or unstable, groundless, provisional, transient, hollow, frivolous, superfluous, or exceeding. Because it's something that is low density, hollow, doesn't have a root, it's just floating. That's how it gets all these other meanings. 涨 This 涨 refers to rises specifically in rivers or in prices. We use a lot of water words when we talk about money. Not just in Chinese, but in English too. If you think about liquidation is the word that we use when we talk about converting property into cash. So again, like 薪水 is your salary. 涨, this one for rising prices, rising rivers, flooding, accumulation of bulk. Words about floods. 淮 is the name of a specific river. Flows from here, right there. Here's the Tongbaisan. And this is the start of the river, and it flows from west to east. Up to there, Huaihe. It's kind of in between Huanghe and Changjiang, which are the two biggest rivers. Huaihe is also a pretty big, major river. But it only starts from this mountain here, so it's not as long as the other two. 泄 means a leak of water or gas, a drip, drain, or discharge. Divulge, secret, disperse, or reduce. For venting your emotions, 发泄 泄气 could be deflating, like literally deflating, or it could be to lose heart, like when your spirits and your motivation leaked out. 泄怒 like leaking anger. It's like when you take out your anger on someone or something. 泄 zhi means sluggish, stagnant. It can also mean congeal. So we're talking about not moving or moving really slowly. Gu is in ancient times referred to what is now called Baihe, which is an upstream tributary of the Taobaihe in northern China. It's the old name for that river. We also, all these other meanings like buying, selling, that's kind of a different word, a different character that we use for that now. Pretty much you only use it in this saying. We're talking about striving for social recognition, fishing for fame and fortune, praise. 溅 means to splash or flow. Usually you'd use more often for splash than for flow. 渗 means to ooze or seep, like penetrate or soak through. We'd use 渗. 汀 refers to a sandbar, shoal, or sandbank, waterside plat, like a little flat area of land next to water, or the kind of masses of sand and sediment that rise close to the surface of the water. 黄, another word for a pool of water, a pond, or a lake. So many of these. But this one also has the other meaning of dye paper. So like 黄纸 is kind of paper. It's like decorative paper that you use for calligraphy. 汹 means sweeping and surging, a torrential rush, turbulent or tumultuous. Once again, we're talking about water, specifically having these behaviors or these properties. When we're talking about people, we use different, it doesn't have the water drops on the side. 涌 means to bubble up, rush forth, gush, or surge. So you use these a lot together. 汹涌. 汹涌 for tempestuous and turbulent waves when they surge up violently. 砰, 砰 is the sound of waves clapping, burst forth, brim over, or splash. It's commonly used with this 澎湃. 澎湃 for the sound of surging, crashing waves. Spatter is 拍拍. Put it together because it kind of sounds like that, right? 砰 is when it comes up, and 拍 is when it slaps on the land or on the surface. 惊 惊 means to be startled or frightened, scared, alarmed, surprised, or amazed. 惊. When you're too stunned to speak, you could say 惊呆了. 惊讶 is like amazed and surprised. 涛 refers to a big wave or the sound of a big wave. And here when we put it together, 惊涛 is what we call waves that are so big that it's shocking. And same thing with the next one. 骇 means to astonish, shock, or startle. This we use it less often than 惊. 浪 is a wave. It can also mean to wander, unrestrained, or indulgence. So like 流浪 would be wandering. 浪荡 loitering about. 浪费 waste, squander money. Like this unrestrained spending would be. 浪漫 is what we call romantic. 浪人, this kind of thing. So this 骇浪 means basically the same thing as 惊涛, like waves that are so big that it's scary and shocking. 旋 is a whirlpool or eddy. 涡 again, eddy, whirlpool. 涡 is also referring to a round pit or a dimple, although for dimples we often use this 涡, which means a nest, but also a pit. So this and that kind of used interchangeably in the context of dimples. But yes, small round pits are also called 涡 because that's what forms at the center of a whirlpool. Obviously, since these words mean the same thing, 漩涡, when you put it together, that's our common word for whirlpool. 带 has a lot of meanings. It's not too many, but very common in all of these usages. 带, it could be a band, ribbon, or belt. A belt usually we'd call 皮带 because they're made of leather, traditionally. A ribbon, a band, any sort of belt, like if you tie your luggage, secure it with a belt, like a woven belt, you'd also call that 带. A zone or an area, a region, if you say like 热带, the warm zone refers to tropical climates. If you say like the Bible Belt or the Rust Belt, those kind of regions in America. If you wear a scarf or a hat, necklaces, earrings, bracelets, I think all use 带. Whereas the ones where you put your body inside it, you would call 穿. To carry, to take along, to bear, to have. These are also 带. Lead, if you lead a team or you lead a company, lead an expedition, it'd be 带. Look after or raise children is also 带. 波 is a wave or ripple. Could also refer to a sudden turn of events. Waves in the cultural consciousness, or like the happenings going on. In certain literature, the enchanting gaze of a bewitching young woman, very sparkly eyes. Can refer to scattering or spreading or running. But we also use this bo for electromagnetic waves. Waves, the concept in physics, like vibrations and energy and stuff. 礁 refers to shoals, rocks, reefs, sort of mass of rock or sediment, or reefs are actually animals, I think. Living organisms anyway. Hard stuff in the water. 礁 Yu is a small island, an islet. 连 means to link, join, or connect. It can be continuously or repeatedly. You would call that 连续. His 续 means continuing in a chain of joined events repeatedly in succession. 连 Also, 联系, if you say like, we are investigating so-and-so in connection with this crime, you'd use 连, involve or implicate, including. Even in stuff like 连, the example given in the dictionary here is 连孩子都知道, like even a child knows this, or like even a worm will turn. This kind of construction, even in there, is used 连 something something, yeah something something, or 都 something something. 连词 is also what we call conjunctions in grammar. And 江 refers to a large river, especially the Changjiang, the big one down here. It's also called the Yangtze-jiang, and that's the name Anglophones use. It's also the jiang in Jiangsu province, so the short name of Jiangsu province is called jiang. Large river. It's the way that the little islands form chains in a stream. Something like that. There's all our words. Got a bunch of words about mountains and rock formations, a bunch of words about different bodies of water and the behaviors of water. That's all the contents of 山水. And make sure you practice. Until next time.